In the heart of ancient Rome, where the echoes of battle resound and the scent of blood hangs heavy in the air, one name stands out among the legends of the gladiatorial arena, a name that has become synonymous with courage, defiance, and the pursuit of glory at any cost. His name was Spartacus, and his story is a testament to the enduring spirit of defiance and the quest for immortality through acts of valor. Before starting, remember to click the like and subscribe button to support us in making more interesting videos. The rise of Spartacus. Spartacus, born into the servitude of ancient Rome, emerged from obscurity to become one of history's most enduring symbols of resistance and defiance. Little is known of his early life, but records suggest he was born in Thrace, a region located in modern-day Bulgaria, around 109 to 110 BC. Like many of his contemporaries, Spartacus was enslaved and forced into gladiatorial training, where he honed his skills in combat. It was within the brutal confines of the gladiatorial arena that Spartacus's journey to prominence began. Though initially viewed as little more than a slave destined for a short and violent life, Spartacus proved himself to be a formidable fighter, earning respect and admiration among his fellow gladiators. But it was not just Spartacus's skill with a sword that set him apart. It was his unwavering spirit of defiance and his refusal to accept the fate that had been thrust upon him. In 73 BCE, Spartacus seized his chance for freedom, leading a daring revolt that would shake the foundations of the Roman Republic. With a band of fellow slaves turned rebels, Spartacus launched a campaign of rebellion that struck fear into the hearts of Rome's elite. His army swelled with each victory, drawing in disaffected slaves and marginalized peoples from across the Italian peninsula. Spartacus's charisma and leadership inspired loyalty and devotion among his followers, who saw him not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of hope and liberation. The revolt of Spartacus sent shockwaves through Rome, exposing the vulnerabilities of a society built on the backs of enslaved labor. Despite facing overwhelming odds, Spartacus and his rebel army managed to evade capture for several years, outmaneuvering Roman legions and defying all attempts to quash their rebellion. The Gladiatorial Arena. In the heart of ancient Rome, the gladiatorial arena stood as both a spectacle of entertainment and a symbol of power. These areas, such as the iconic Colosseum, were colossal structures designed to accommodate thousands of spectators who gathered to witness the bloodshed and drama of gladiatorial combat. The gladiatorial games were more than mere entertainment. They were a reflection of the values and ideals of Roman society. Gladiators, typically slaves or prisoners of war, were trained in specialized schools where they learned the art of combat and prepared for the deadly contests that awaited them in the arena. For the spectators, the gladiatorial games provided an escape from the rigors of daily life and an opportunity to indulge in the thrill of violence and spectacle. The roar of the crowd, the clash of weapons, and the sight of blood spilled on the sand stirred primal emotions and tapped into the collective psyche of the Roman people. But for the gladiators themselves, the arena was a place of both peril and opportunity. On one hand, it offered the chance for fame, glory, and even freedom for those who proved themselves in combat. On the other hand, it was a deadly arena where every fight could be their last, and where the specter of death loomed large with every swing of a sword. Gladiators were trained to fight with a variety of weapons, including swords, shields, tridents, and nets, each with its own unique style and techniques. Matches were often brutal and bloody affairs, with combatants battling to the death or until one was incapacitated. Despite the violence and danger of the gladiatorial games, gladiators were revered as symbols of courage, strength, and honor. Those who distinguished themselves in the arena could earn the adulation of the crowd and the favor of powerful patrons, potentially even securing their freedom and a life of wealth and privilege. The gladiatorial arena, with its combination of spectacle, drama, and danger, remains one of the most enduring symbols of ancient Rome. It stands as a testament to the complex and often contradictory nature of Roman society, where violence and entertainment were intertwined with power and prestige. The Spartacus Revolt. Few events have captured the imagination and inspired as much admiration as the Spartacus Revolt. This daring rebellion, led by the eponymous gladiator, Spartacus, shook the foundations of the Roman Republic and challenged the might of one of the ancient world's most formidable empires. The seeds of the Spartacus Revolt were sown in the crucible of oppression and injustice that defined life for the vast majority of Rome's enslaved population. Spartacus, a Thracian warrior enslaved and trained as a gladiator, had endured the brutalities of servitude, but he refused to accept his fate passively. Instead, he harbored a burning desire for freedom, for himself and for his fellow slaves who suffered alongside him. In 73 BCE, Spartacus seized his chance for liberation, leading a small band of fellow gladiators in a daring escape from the gladiatorial school where they were held captive. What began as a desperate bid for freedom soon blossomed into a full-scale rebellion as Spartacus and his followers embarked on a campaign of defiance and resistance against their Roman oppressors. Spartacus's army, comprised of slaves and marginalized peoples from across the Italian peninsula, quickly swelled in numbers as word of their revolt spread. They waged a guerrilla war against the Roman legions, striking swiftly and decisively before melting back into the countryside to evade capture. But the Spartacus Revolt was more than just a fight for freedom. It was a quest for dignity, justice, and a better life for those who had been marginalized and oppressed by the Roman social order. Spartacus's charisma and leadership inspired loyalty and devotion among his followers, who saw him not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of hope and liberation. Despite facing overwhelming odds, Spartacus and his rebel army managed to evade capture for several years, outmaneuvering Roman legions and defying all attempts to quash their rebellion. Though ultimately defeated in battle, the legacy of Spartacus and the Spartacus Revolt endures as a testament to the power of resilience, defiance, and the unyielding human spirit in the face of oppression. The pursuit of glory. For Spartacus, the gladiator turned rebel leader, the pursuit of glory was not merely a quest for personal fame or recognition. It was a deeply ingrained desire to leave a lasting legacy, to transcend the confines of his circumstances, and to achieve immortality through acts of valor and heroism. From the moment Spartacus seized his chance for freedom and embarked on his daring revolt against the Roman Republic, he understood that his actions would echo through the annals of history. His defiance of the mighty Roman Empire, his refusal to accept the shackles of oppression, and his unwavering commitment to the cause of liberation set him apart as a figure of extraordinary courage and determination. But for Spartacus, the pursuit of glory went beyond mere survival or victory on the battlefield. It was about something greater, about challenging the very foundations of the social order, about inspiring others to rise up and defy the forces of tyranny and injustice. Throughout his campaign, Spartacus sought not just to defeat the Roman legions, but to prove himself against the greatest warriors of his time. His battlefield exploits and strategic brilliance earned him the admiration of friend and foe alike, cementing his reputation as a warrior without equal. But perhaps more importantly, Spartacus's pursuit of glory was about the liberation of his fellow slaves and marginalized peoples. He saw himself not just as a rebel leader, but as a champion of the oppressed, fighting for a world where all individuals could live free from the chains of bondage and oppression. In the end, Spartacus's quest for glory would cost him everything. Despite his bravery and skill, he and his rebel army were ultimately defeated in battle, and Spartacus himself fell on the battlefield, surrounded by the bodies of his fallen comrades. The Battle of the Siler River. The Battle of the Siler River stands as the dramatic climax of Spartacus's rebellion against the Roman Republic, a fateful confrontation that would determine the fate of thousands and seal Spartacus's legacy as a symbol of defiance and resistance. As Spartacus and his rebel army marched through Italy, they found themselves pursued relentlessly by the legions of Rome, led by the seasoned commanders Crassus and Pompey. Despite their valiant efforts to evade capture, Spartacus and his forces were eventually cornered near the Siler River in southern Italy, their backs against the proverbial wall. The scene was set for a showdown of epic proportions, as two mighty armies clashed in a desperate struggle for supremacy. On one side stood Spartacus and his band of rebel slaves, driven by a thirst for freedom and a desire to defy the forces of tyranny and oppression. On the other stood the legions of Rome, disciplined and well-trained soldiers fighting to maintain the status quo and preserve the power of the Republic. The Battle of the Siler River was a brutal and bloody affair, with combatants on both sides fighting fiercely for their lives. Spartacus, leading from the front, displayed the same courage and skill that had earned him renown on the battlefield. His army, though outnumbered and outmatched, fought with a ferocity and determination that belied their status as slaves and rebels. But despite their bravery, Spartacus and his forces were ultimately overwhelmed by the superior numbers and discipline of the Roman legions. In the end, Spartacus himself fell on the battlefield, surrounded by the bodies of his fallen comrades. The Battle of the Siler River marked the end of Spartacus's rebellion, but it also marked the beginning of his legend. Though defeated in battle, Spartacus's spirit lived on in the hearts of those who had fought alongside him, inspiring future generations to rise up against oppression and injustice. Spartacus's life was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of oppression and injustice. From his humble beginnings as a Thracian warrior enslaved and trained as a gladiator, he rose to become a symbol of resistance and liberation, challenging the might of the Roman Empire and inspiring others to rise up against tyranny. So let us remember the gladiator who chose glory over freedom, and let his legacy serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration for all those who dare to defy the forces of tyranny and oppression. Thank you for watching the entire video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more fascinating videos.